is what could you say? I want you to speak to the kings that may be seeing this episode, or some that may be even in the audience. What words could you say to encourage them to step up in their role, their position, their mandate, their God-called assignment to be fathers? What would you say to encourage them?
Let me jump off first. So I'm going to reaffirm what the whole question was. The original question was, where are you? Adam, where are you? And Latarius gave us the right answer. But you think about this. I serve an omnipresent God, an all-knowing God. He already know where you at, right? So it's rhetorical in nature. Adam, where are you, right? Where are you in your leadership? Where are you in your planning? Where are you in your fatherhood? Where's that plan? As a matter of fact, where you at in your teaching? Because your girl didn't even get right what I told you in chapter 2, right? So where are you in this place where you stand up? And I'm going to say this to my brothers. No excuses. The rhetorical question of where are you in your fatherhood? Where are you in your leadership? You have to answer.
God, your favor has allowed the Dear Future Wifey Podcast to be the first of its kind.
Oh my God.
The first to be booked by churches.
How y'all doing, Word of Truth Church?
The Bible says that God is not the author of confusion. So I ought to know exactly where I stand with you.
The first to be booked internationally.
Now we try to please the world versus the word.
You said we try to please the world and not the word.
Yeah.
And the difference is just an L.
That's right. That's right.
And you take an L when you try to please the world.
Come on. That's it.
The first to be booked at a major award show.
I think so often when we hear that idea of love, or someone says, I love you, they say it in the word, but you can't see it anywhere in the deed.
You are using this podcast to heal countries.
I will use my story to steer other young men away from the road and the path that I took.
Thank you for transforming my pain into a beautiful platform.
If we was in church, we'll say first giving honor to the First Lady and all that, but the First Lady of Juneteenth, we're going to go ahead and give her honor. Opal Lee in the back right there.
Yes.
There she is. Giving honor to the Opal Lee. We honor you, Queen. We salute you. Thank you for all the hard work that you've done. Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. I'm your host, Tayler Raphiel. Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. We are in season 8 of the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Make some noise. We are at Opal Lee's Juneteenth celebration in Funky Town, Fort Worth. Come on, put your hands together. Listen, I'm home, y'all. Listen, I'm so excited to present y'all this amazing panel of amazing thought leaders. I was very specific about who I chose for this panel, and I waited all the way up to the last minute, probably by Wednesday before I confirmed the last person. I said, I want people that I know can speak to where we're at as a culture, as Black men more specifically. And I affectionately titled this episode, Adam, Where Are You? And if anybody familiar with that scripture in the Bible, God knew where Adam was, but he wanted Adam to identify himself because he was hiding. And too often we have our African-American kings hiding behind oppression, hiding behind systemic racism, hiding behind things that they feel unworthy of. But what we want to do is call them out from the shadows and call them out from the darkness and tell them to stand as the kings that God has called you to be. And so without further ado, give it up for this amazing panel of thought leaders and kings. And so I'm going to start from my far right, and I want each one of them to introduce themselves, not just their name, but who they are and who they stand for and what they stand for.
And what I stand for. Good morning, good afternoon. We made it. Good afternoon. My name is Lee Merritt. I'm a civil rights attorney. Actually, pulling in here today reminded me of my history here in Texas. I've been here for about 10 years. The first time I came to Fort Worth, they had a young woman named Jackie Craig in jail here, and she had just been assaulted by a police officer after her child was assaulted by her neighbor. In a viral video, the cop says, "Why don't you teach your son not to litter?" And she says, "Well, he just assaulted my 7-year-old son." Ultimately, Jackie and her daughters were taken to jail. and I was out clubbing. And it came across my Facebook feed, like, and this was new. This was my introduction to Texas. So I was like, this happened here? Where is this place called Fort Worth? Because I was in Dallas. Where's this place called? They said it's about 40 minutes up the road. So I in my club attire, I went up here, stopped by this place, parked illegally like I did today. And I ran into a police officer outside who knew what was going on. He didn't know who I was because I wasn't nobody. So, but he knew I was an attorney. I presented my card, my credentials. He let me in. And that started the work that I've been doing here in Fort Worth since. Advocating for William, whatever his name was, to be suspended for the first time, face consequences for his actions. And then on to more tragic cases like Jordan Edwards, Tatiana Jefferson, Botham Jean, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, you name it. The last 10 years has been a course of me taking my training. I went to Morehouse undergrad law school in Philadelphia, and I wanted to come to the Fifth Circuit. This is where civil rights go to die. So I came here to pick a fight, like our dear sister Opal Lee. Identify a problem, apply myself to it. God has blessed the work, and look forward to being a part of this
How many
conversation.
of y'all know who Lee Merritt is, y'all? Yes, he had a run for governor. Proud of you, King, for just stepping up and doing what you do.
He's going to run again.
Yeah, you're gonna run
Attorney
again.
General, but yeah.
I mean, Attorney General. Yeah, Attorney General should have been governor. Anyway, my boy Sederrick Raphiel.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Sederrick Raphiel. I have been part of the Metroplex in business for myself for about 30 years now. I have a company called The Design Factory. I do web development, marketing, branding, packaging, and so I'm the OG in that space, and so I've been around and been doing that. And about 14 years ago, I got called into ministry. So now I'm the senior pastor at The Harvest in Dallas. And so that's why I stand for us. I stand for, as a father, as a man who's been broken and trying to pull himself back together again in those spaces in all aspects of life. So I'm a believer and a hoper. A hoper? A hoper.
Yeah. We're going to make up a word. Hoper.
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 A very talented hoper, I might add. The Design Factory is awesome.
Let me intro. This is Mr. Matt Houston.
Chill out, bro.
I met Matt as a sophomore at Townview.
Yep. You had hair. We both had hair.
I had a little bit of hair, but this is how long I've been knowing this gentleman.
Thank you. And I appreciate you being my OG, not only in the business space, but also spiritually, as you looped me into the Harvest early in your development. Hey, everyone. My name's Matt Houston. I'm born and raised in Dallas, Texas, area called Oak Cliff, product of DISD. Why is that important? Because this is Fort Worth. I respect your history, your legacy. I'm a black man trying to build economic ecosystems across the country. My background is in economics. I received my bachelor's degree in economics from Southern Methodist University. I received my master's at TCU, at the Neely School, the executive MBA. And I buy, create, sell businesses. I currently am doing economic development with 3 colleagues who are professors at UNT Dallas with me. We teach real estate development, urban planning, and we've created an organization called the Trailblazer Advisory Group to create economic impact analysis and solutions so that we can build our communities.
Good, good. Last King.
I am Tayler Jacobs.
Say doctor.
I'm Dr. Jake Taylor.
Okay, that's what I saw on the flyer. I put doctor, so I want to put
Dr.
some respect
Jake
in.
Taylor
Okay,
Jacobs.
there it is.
I'm a corporate turnaround specialist. I work with some of the bigger companies like Amazon, Capital One. I work with hospitals all over the country, transitioning hospitals to make them more efficient so that they can be able to save lives the way that they should be able to save lives. I buy and sell companies. As a trade, that's what you do when you're a corporate turnaround specialist. And so 2 tech companies, roll-ups, a couple of insurance agencies. We built all of our companies debt-free. And so there's been a lot of tears and dark nights and crying nights. What I stand for is showing that despite the circumstances that the world wants to put on us, you are who you believe you are. And when I walk into a room, I'm not a black man, I'm the man. And so that's how I like to operate.
That's good right there. I don't know if y'all was adding up some stuff while he was talking, but basically he said he rich. Basically, that's what I got in my spirit. He said he was rich. Money is not a problem. One of the things that you said that was very interesting to me while we were sitting in the green room, you were affirming your wife because you said it was a season when y'all got together, whatnot. You didn't have it like that. She was the breadwinner. Tell me, as a man and as a black man, before you became the man, how did you feel being a man when your wife is covering all the bills?
To be honest with you, I always felt like I was the man.
Let's be clear.
And my wife is here, so y'all can always look at her with my son back there and see if I'm lying or not. I've always felt like I was the man. But what I wanted to build with our family, it required in that season for her to hold it down. And in that space and in that time, I actually appreciate my wife because she never, ever was like, I make the money, you need to do this, you're out all night, where you at? She know I'm at the office. I'm putting in 14, 16, 18 hours a day. And that was our relationship at the time. And then as times changed, I always just cast the vision of what would life look like. I was always reaffirming her on where we were going because there were times where she was upset. I would imagine she was upset because she was working and she was seeing her check we was on the benefits. We had the insurance, health, dental, everything. But I just knew where we were going. And one of the biggest things that I always tell men, especially if your wife is the one that's being the breadwinner so you can stabilize the company, is you got to get wins though. And so it's something called big sky credit. And a lot of men like to talk about the big sky dreams, but they don't have no credit. You ain't got no history of winning. And when my wife met me, I had a history of winning, but what we were looking to do collectively together, what I was currently doing was not the vision that God showed me for our family. And so I had to use the company's money to stay in the company. So it wasn't like we weren't earning, I just wasn't pulling. And so she got to see me winning, which made it easier for her to believe what I said when I spoke the vision.
I love that. And see, we got to realize it's teamwork. And I hate it when we talk in terms of her money, my money. You know, if I got $3 and you got $2, we got $5 together. Yeah. You know, and we can't have this ideology where we're operating separate in a marriage because that's what's going to end up happening anyway. You end up separating. But if you look at it as one, the Bible says the two shall become one. And that's in every aspect of what marriage is supposed to represent. We have a bunch of fathers, every last one of y'all are fathers on the panel. And tomorrow is Father's Day. Can we just give a round of applause for the fathers out there? Shout out to my boy Tony Pettifer over there. He has a video production company called Clear Scope Media. He's the one that's shooting this event. Salute to you, Father. But why is it that Father's Day isn't celebrated as loudly as Mother's Day? Let's ask that question to some of these kings on the stage. Why do you think that is? Anybody can just jump in.
Well, you and I came back from Atlanta last night, and they said, it's a travel weekend. It's a holiday weekend. I had no idea what holiday they were talking about. I was like, no, the airports are fine. There's no one here. No lines. Everything is fine. Unfortunately, we disproportionately as a community are often raised in homes without our fathers. Right. I come from an incarcerated father, so my earliest memories of my dad were letters written from prison. And so that's not one of the holidays that we put on the clock. He was locked up. And so, and that's just what it is for me. It's one of those holidays that we celebrate it as often as we saw Dad.
We celebrate it as often as we saw our dad.
Well, I'll say this. I grew up with my dad. My dad was a single father with me. And when he got married to my bonus mom, her dad, which is my grandfather, took me in like he was blood. So I've always had strong men in my life. We just don't get no love. That's just what it is. Whenever you figure it out, brother, let me know.
Well, coming from, I had my father in my life, and then, and I had an older brother, and so we kind of had, a traditional system, but a lot of it for us was personality, right? My father was a doer, and so he didn't really value having the hoopla on this because that's what men are supposed to do anyway.
You said he was a doer?
He was a doer.
Oh, doer.
Not a celebrator.
I told you there was a word. A
mahogany, like wood, oak wood.
Well, you know,
a doer.
This is Juneteenth weekend, right? But it's sometimes it's just culturally as men, we're just groomed to be able to be there, provide, and fade in the background, and then the right people will appreciate us. So
I'm gonna go on the opposite side. I want to be celebrated. I do. I'm here, right? I make it a point. I'm intentional that I'm in my children's lives, right? And even with my bonus kids, if you ask me how many kids I got 3 biological, 2 bonus, and then a bunch of ones that I still father. I dated a young lady.
Well, it's specified as fathering, though. Is it biologically fathering? And you just
across the board.
Okay, just want to make sure.
So even in the space, I have a 33-year-old from a woman I dated when he was in 11th grade. He's 33 now. We talk at least 2-3 times a week and get together because he's put me in that father role. I understand what that looks like. My father was born in 1919, and we were the third family. He had one outside. And so I looked and saw what it looked like for a father not to be there with my older brothers and sisters. And I vowed I would never be that, right? So that's one of the good things I pulled over from that experience. And so for that, if I had to put down every hat that I wear and what I figure out I do best, I would say father is the number one.
I would say this. I'm listening to everybody's responses. I don't think we tell people enough how much we want to be celebrated.
That's true.
That's good
That's
right there.
legit.
I'm going to be honest.
Because it may not be hoopla, but affirmation is in a different
Yeah, because I know, I done told my wife for years, nah, that ain't no big deal to me. Yeah. But then my feelings are hurt on Sunday.
When you get them socks.
And that's going to be tomorrow.
And get that tie.
I get these socks.
Yeah.
Baby, I got them on right now, baby. But I think that women gonna tell you what days they want you to celebrate them. Yeah. And now I'm hearing all of our responses, and I'm realizing that maybe we just haven't done a good job telling people that we want to be celebrated because we have thought that it meant that we were soft or that we didn't want that.
You got to train people how you want to be treated. Yeah. And you'll be naive if you don't think that people walk around with a consciousness that they should know. After all I do and all that I'm doing over here, you want the people around you to be conscious enough to know that you are valued, you are appreciated, and you want them to move with that energy. And then sometimes men just don't know how to communicate that. But, I want to make sure that I value every person that is in my circle. You got 8 million people on the planet. And God just so happened to bring y'all together. You don't think that I should have value in you? Or I'm looking for you, God in you, to give me something as well? And so I'm going to treat you accordingly. Yeah, and I want to be treated accordingly.
In that same vein, when I celebrate my mom likes flowers. She likes long conversations. And so on Mother's Day, we give her you sit down to a nice dinner. What did Dad want? Dad wants to be left alone, right? Dad wants to go to the gun range, right? And so our celebrations for me as a father of 5, 3 boys, 2 girls, is and all under 14, and they are very expensive. I just honestly sometimes I'll be wanting my space. So,
so tomorrow that's how you celebrating? You just want to be alone.
Not necessarily alone, but I want to do something. I want to celebrate the way that I like to celebrate.
That
doesn't look like Mother's Day.
That charges you up.
Right. It doesn't look like the whole family coming to the table and having a long, drawn-out conversation. Right? That's not what I want to do. And so,
I don't know what's going on, but doesn't it feel like this year is going by extremely fast? Okay, is it just me, or does it feel like between social media or life in general, there's a ton of distractions? Have you ever thought about what you would need to do in order to become who you want to be? One word: clarity. I'm Sederrick Raphiel, and I partner with my friends again that I can't wait to travel for a clarity retreat so that we can get clear. I want you to escape with me to Cancun, Mexico at the Unico 2087 Riviera Maya on September the 26th to the 29th. My homie David Burris, Christian life and relationship coach, and I will be facilitating workshops to help you begin to focus only on those things of importance so that you can thrive in all areas of your life. What are you waiting for? Go to ICan'tWaitToTravel.com, click on the tab that says Group Trips, and join me on the Clarity Retreat. It's time to get clear.
Well, the word says honor your father and your mother. The word also tells you to honor your husband, right? It's predicated on you to know what honor looks like for each one of us. Honor looks different. You want to be left alone. I want to be taken out. I want you to drive me there. I want to sit in the passenger seat.
You want to be a passenger princess?
I'll be passenger princess if you want to.
Me.
But see, the point I'm making is that every man on this panel is different.
100%.
You're supposed to, as a daughter or a spouse, know what honor looks like to me, right? And then if the guy before that, you figure that out for him. But for me, you get a full understanding, right?
Exactly. Okay. I want to admit to my wife publicly that she asked me yesterday what I wanted for Father's Day.
And what you say?
He can't say that on stage. We saved right here.
Well, my next thing is...
By the way, that is not a gift, okay? Don't be rapping that, talking about,
gift,
hey, ain't nobody want that. We're supposed to get that anyway.
That's another...
That's your Father's Day gift.
I didn't get you nothing, but baby.
Anniversary Father's Day.
Hey, that's another workshop, brother. We uplifting our communities today, but it's absolutely right. We have to communicate that, and if it's me at the driving range for 2 hours, 2 more hours, and not having daddy duty, to worry about, that could be a great gift, and I don't communicate.
Yeah, men do your women a disservice when you say, "Oh, baby, whatever." Ain't no whatever. Let's do point A.
Because we got a list,
right? And so we have to communicate it.
And so, what are you doing for Father's Day?
Oh, I'm actually traveling to speak at Memphis, University of Memphis.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
Because
they don't care about Father's Day.
No travel restrictions.
No travel restrictions. That'll never happen on Mother's Day. They're like, hey, Dr. Jake, we need you to come to University of Memphis. When? Oh, just on Sunday. It's not even Father's Day.
It's on Sunday.
On Sunday.
What could y'all say to encourage, because you brought up an interesting point, Lee. You talked about oftentimes, let me just ask the audience, poll the audience, how many of y'all grew up with a father being present in your home? Okay. And then how many of y'all didn't grow up with a father being? All right, so that's probably about 25%. That you did your hand kind of up and down. What you mean by that? He was kind of there and then, huh?
It's complicated.
Okay, got a bonus father. Okay, cool. And you're in the black. Why'd you raise your hand up and down like this? 14. Good. Yeah. I get emotional when you start thinking about that. Because me being a licensed foster parent and me adopting 2 kids, of course, fatherhood is extremely important for me. Fatherhood matured me when I had my daughter at the age of 18. So I believe that we're missing out when you're not being present in your kid's life. You're missing out on your own maturation. It's things that God is wanting to reveal about you, and your kids will reveal things about you that your parents complained about you, right. And then you're able to steward that situation and guide that child because you say, that's my DNA walking around. Oh, I know how you are. And it's a beautiful experience to have. It's a beautiful dance with fatherhood. My question to each one of y'all is, what could you say? I want you to speak to the kings that may be seeing this episode, or some that may be even in the audience. What words could you say to encourage them to step up in their role, their position, their mandate, their God-called assignment to be fathers? But they have used whatever situations. Some of these situations may be real to them. They may be dealing with quote unquote baby mama issues or whatnot, and they just say, man, I don't want to deal with her, so I ain't gonna deal with my kids. what would you say to encourage them?
Let me jump off first. So I'm going to reaffirm what the whole question was. The original question was, where are you? Adam, where are you? And Latarius gave us the right answer. But you think about this. I serve an omnipresent God, an all-knowing God. He already know where you at, right? So it's rhetorical in nature. Adam, where are you, right? Where are you in your leadership? Where are you in your planning? Where are you in your fatherhood? Where's that plan? As a matter of fact, where are you at in your teaching? Because your girl didn't even get right what I told you in chapter 2, right? So where are you in this place where you stand up? And I will say this to my brothers, no excuses. The rhetorical question of where are you in your fatherhood? Where are you in your leadership? You have to answer. And the beautiful thing about the love and grace that God gave us is that he gave us an opportunity to kind of think through it, again, being conscious of it. Because I need to know where I'm at, but better yet, where I ain't, right? I'm not here, so I gotta strategize on how to get here. And I think that's the biggest thing, that we kind of navigate life without having mentorship, or even when the places that we don't know. I'm joined today by my mentors, 2 of them, Benny Franklin and Pop Roberson. In my life, I've put my life in 4 categories: personal, professional, relational, and spiritual. I have a mentor for each one of those verticals.
That's good.
And 2 of them are over here now, joining me. I can't navigate life by myself. That's why you had the Father, right? We are supposed to point the way. And if you don't have that in your life, a father wasn't there, then you get a spiritual father, or some type of thing to help you point the way so you can point the way for your kid.
So what would you say? Good, give it up for that. That's a beautiful response. So I want you to speak directly to the camera. Tony, which camera should you speak to?
1, 2, or 3.
1, 2, or 3, which camera? I'm gonna have them speak to the camera. All right, those. Speak directly to the camera and speak to the father that's not in position and not doing what he's supposed to be as a father.
God will not give you overflow until you take care of the seeds that you put into this world. So if you want to lead the nation without leading your nation that came from your loins, you're in contradiction to the word. And so, it doesn't matter who you had a baby with. It matters that you had a baby with, and you got to step up. So in my case, Latarius, I got full custody of my daughter. And it didn't matter about the disposition of how her mother felt about whatever that was going on. It was my job to make sure I put my child in the best position that she could be in. And we got a good co-parenting relationship. We co-parent with her grandmother and all those things. But it's my job as a father to ensure that the covering's there. How can I expect God to cover me if I'm not willing to cover mine?
You go ahead, bro.
No, we need an attorney to follow 2 preachers.
I will start with my personal story. I was married at 22 years old. Yeah, I was married at 22 years of age to a beautiful woman, doctor, and I wanted to be a lawyer, and so we were helping each other towards our goals. Got to law school and started having babies. 1 year, 1 for every year of law school, then another for the bar, right? So we divorced, and it's not a joke. But after 8 years, we divorced, and so now we had 4 kids to our union, and I had a career that I was just joining the Cochran firm. I wanted to be the biggest, baddest attorney on the planet, and I have the benefit of being sort of in this community with these specific men who have been around me. And one thing they'll tell you, this is probably one of the first times they've seen me without that trail of kids behind me. Because I figured anything, if God was going to bless my ministry, if God was going to bless my practice, I had to be the father to these children and show them the love of God, show them God using me, show them the world that we're trying to change together. So if I'm looking directly at the camera, which I am, and talking to you all who are in whatever non-traditional situation, or maybe it's a traditional situation, it's really just an echo of what's already been said, but your blessing is attached. Your blessing is the byproduct of what you pour into your household. If we go using your phrase, but giving it to Taoism, They say if there's light in the soul, there's beauty in the person. If there's beauty in the person, there's harmony in the house. If there's harmony in the house, there's order in the nation. And the reason I get to be a world leader, a nation leader, is because I have harmony in my house. Good. And if there's harmony in the house, there's order in the nation. If there's order in the nation, there's peace in the world.
I pick up on,
Woo!
amen.
Yeah,
that's
good.
your blessing, right? I'll say it's your responsibility. That kid didn't ask to be here. And that's your seed. You know, quite honestly, I don't want to make this no issue, but, you know, I know ladies that say, you take care of my baby. Actually, that's my baby, right? That seed is from me, right? We're blessed to bring it forward, but the responsibility I have for that child, that you're supposed to stand there, you're supposed to be there. And then we get to a point, if that message is this, is that no excuses. I'm not interested in what happened. That kid is not either. I've watched my sisters and brothers ask my dad, well, why didn't you come do this? Why didn't you come do this? And the excuses at the end of the day won't cut it. We just got to be present, point blank.
I agree, and I can't contribute too much because I am a new father. And the first thing I learned in this process is that this is the most humbling thing I've ever done in my life. And so hearing men on the dais talk about their experiences, I am just in the role of taking notes, right? The thing that I could tell people who are in my position, who's overwhelmed, who's tired, who has no idea what to do with this thing, because I've excelled in other places in my life, professionally, personally. My past was more successful than what I'm dealing with now. The only thing I can say is don't give up. Yeah. You just can't give up. One, because the moms can't give up.
Right.
So do your responsibility. Yeah. Secondly, I remember I told a friend, the first time I saw my son, I then realized any male who does not take responsibility in what they've created, I have a different viewpoint of. Yep. And I remember I had to go to therapy. I had to make sure that's a very toxic viewpoint. And I had to tone it down because you have to give grace to people's situations. But I had that intense feeling because it's so important to build our culture. And the only way we can build our culture is we build relationships with our young ones.
And you said something that you identify with, Sederrick. We was talking, what is your mantra with a I'm gonna call it a friend, with a dude that wants to be friends with you but don't take care of his kids?
I just don't hang out with deadbeat dads. That's just the energy. Every cat, when people talk about, deadbeat dads don't do this, and I'm like, I don't know none. Low key, everybody in here are going above and beyond that. I know that I hang about my energy. My energy just won't be there. And my best friend growing up, like my brother, we would get into arguments, and I loved him with every fiber of my being. But boy, I toe into him is like, I don't want to hear it. Did you? I talk to your daughter more than you do. Yeah. That's a shame, right? I'm checking on her more than you. So, call her. And so it's the encouragement of it, and you can do it. A lot of people don't know how to, I don't know how to re-engage. I'm just re-engage. And at the end of the day, if it's, I'm sorry for not being here, offer that. And start up. When God graces you with a new day, there's a new opportunity to reimagine yourself. Just reimagine yourself as a dad, and then start over.
And work at it.
Yeah. Be intentional, for sure.
Take accountability and just work on it.
Right. Yeah, my wife told me something, because when you start making a little money, you start to walk. I don't know about y'all.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to throw myself out there. Start making some paper, you start walking around like, listen, my money there though. My wife told me something, it hit me hard. It took me about a year to process. That's how heavy it was. I was mad at her for a whole year. Just mad. Look at her mad. She said, money doesn't replace what time needs. And for all of you that are out there that's watching right now, that are fathers, trying to wait till your money gets up for you to step in as a father, you need to understand that time goes further than money can when you lack money. And when you do make money, money does not replace what time is needed for your children. So even for I was traveling a lot. I had to rearrange my entire travel schedule and time schedule because I started to see that my children were being affected by how often I was gone. And the more I was present, the more my children started to adapt. Their behaviors changed. Their mannerisms changed. The balance of their emotions began to be a lot more predictable and more routine. And when I was out of whack with my time, with my schedule, with all of those things, it began to hurt me when they started asking, where's daddy at? So you can provide the best house.
Right.
You can give them the best shoes. You can put the best clothes on their back, put them in the best schools, but they're still going to ask, where is my daddy at? And that's the thing that we have to promise.
For sure. And balance.
And I'll throw something in here, and I don't want to use children as an incentive, but children are literally a blessing. And so the first person to tell me that I was rich was my kids. I was broke, right? But to them, they said, Dad, they saw me operate in the world, and to them, I was rich. Yeah. And they started rumors at school, because I started getting on TV around the same time, too. And on TV does not mean rich, because I was poor. and so they'll be like, yeah, nah, my dad's rich. And it would embarrass their mom, and their mom would say, hey, don't say that. That man is in that 2-bedroom apartment with all y'all in one room. So, I said, do not discourage them from saying that. And it turns out they were prophesying to me.
Teach.
And every time they said it, I affirmed it. Yes, we are rich. You all are my riches. And started talking to them about what wealth was and what prosperity was. And then the things that they imagined that I have, they began to manifest. So there's a blessing in it as well.
I absolutely love that. I love that. Let's go through some history. I'm trying to see how optimistic I can be when we start talking about our culture. Because you see all this stuff on these social media streets and whatnot, and we're going to talk more about Juneteenth. And I'm just going to throw an open-ended question and then just see what y'all say. How do y'all feel about the state of our culture in 2024?
Y'all go ahead.
So I'm going to be king optimist here.
Go ahead.
Statistically, African Americans, black people, you don't have to be a descendant of slaves, but black people are moving to the state of Texas at a faster rate in which we will be the most populous in the union, right? Between Dallas and Houston, there will be 3 million black people, right? And the state is a multi-diversified, policy-driven where you can build culture, or if there is a solution you have to infuse somewhere, you can fix it quickly in Texas compared to other spaces. This is the optimism part. That's the optimist part. We have the tools to do it, but we're all tired or we're not focused. We must focus. And it doesn't mean all of us are on the front lines. If you're an educator, we have to continue educating our community. Yeah. If you are a plumber, we need to not only service our community, but we need to build companies to hire our young men so that they can learn a trade so that they can take care of their families. Yeah. We need to utilize the things that we were historically oppressed and restricted from. Yeah. We have to utilize those to better our communities. So in Texas, it's here. We're using multimedia. We generate culture. So we have all the things to give the impression to project black excellence. Then we can manifest it futurely.
Good.
I've taught on record, not including social media, but like registered record, over 15,000 black and brown business professionals in 22 countries. And it's all the same. This current generation, and I'm not talking about Gen Z, millennials, I'm talking about us all that make up today. Anyone that's participating in today's finance business, from if you 80 all the way down if you 15. Too many people are trying to adopt heroism, where you're trying to be the one that breaks 400 years plus of oppression. When in fact, if every person just did your part, and I had to recognize that for myself. When I became okay, I retired my parents and then my bonus parents and then paid off houses and then I had everyone on my payroll and I'm making sure everyone's good. I'm like, wait a minute. This is too much for me to bear, and I did that before 30. So just imagine the pressure on one person to break 5 generations of oppression and all those things when it's not what's called. Christ tells us to pick up our own cross and die daily. Right. And so my job for my family is to make sure that we bear the cross and we pick up the cross and we break whatever we can and then instill in others to break what they can. But I think a lot of us are in the space of high-siding. We want to drive fancy cars and look wealthy. We want to be on social media and appear that we have followers, but those are just vanity metrics. Those are not anything that's actually pushing the narrative of us forward, because there's a lot of people on social media, and some of y'all follow them, that if you actually spent 24 hours in their real life.
See that preacher look?
If you saw them in their real life, the life that you have with your career, as a director, as a manager, making 60, 70, 80,000 a year with a savings account, good credit, retirement is a much better life than those that are posing on social media. And I think a lot of people are in the space of trying to appear social media rich than actually trying to enrich their actual real life.
Preach.
I think my perspective is a little bit different because I'm operating in a microcosm of building ministry, right? And my reality is that in building ministry, we will implode before we explode, right? Because trying to get so many people on the same page that has so many different ideas, just the way that we work together or the lack of energy, how we submit into one another, right? I got 1,000 chiefs. I ain't got nobody want to be no Indian, right? I'm telling my people, I say, if we're in a boat and I got 15 holes in the boat, just stick your finger somewhere. It don't matter. Just plug it up before we sink. And, you know, we need to stand united with something, right? Even if it's bigger than us. Like we talked about, fatherhood is bigger than just us in this just, just this singular look. It's affected, there's a ripple effect, and we need to show the church in particular, where we go, where we're rooted in, where we birthed other things out of it. Let's show unity right here. And some of that is just, meet me where I'm at and fulfill a need, right? You don't have to run nothing. I'm telling you, especially being an entrepreneur, the Tayler can tell you that I've been an entrepreneur for 29 years now. I don't even have a title on my business card. Because even as I walk in and say president or creative director, I'm still the cat that got to go in the ladies' bathroom and take out all the trash and everything in there. And y'all know how nasty y'all can be sometimes, right? That's me. And I have to do the accounting. And I have to go do this. I'm the delivery guy on some occasions. And sometimes we get to a point where we so up there and you can't even play no role.
Position and titles.
Right, positions and titles, right? I'm like, if you need me to go play on the basketball team, am I running the number one? Am I on the point guard, or do I just come over here off the bench? And we need that type of energy, especially within our community, is what we need to do. If somebody's father's not showing up, all right, bring the kid over here.
The village, Doc.
I got a village over here. I got some dope dudes that can come over here and help raise that up, right? Yeah. But I need more participants so we can make sure that we give God a safe place to deliver people to, right? And every time I turn around, some people talking about I'm church hurt. You the church, so what you mean? You hurting me? Because it ain't no building around here slapping folks. It's us, right? We the church. And so I'm trying to eliminate all of that. Bring this in here, have a safe place where God can trust us with building people.
That's good. That's good. Lee.
So the question culturally, and I have to unfortunately answer it as a lawyer, this is what I do. I try to help shape culture. I read a book back when I was an undergrad by Cornel West. He said, called Race Matters. And he says, there's not been a time in the history of black people in this country where the quantity of politicians and intellectuals was so great, yet the quality of both groups was so low. And he started talking about the difference between activists then and activists now.
Put your microphone close to your mouth.
He started talking about the difference between activists then and activists now, lawyers then and lawyers now, and the shininess of us, the everything that you all have been describing versus the urgency of the past. And so there's some things about the culture today that encourages me. I'll take Jackie Craig, for example. We have the immediacy of seeing what happened. I was hanging out, and I saw something that was happening live here in Fort Worth. And I could urgently respond to it. I had the ability to do it. I could drop it and turn it into something. And it turned into a movement here in Fort Worth. And we saw that sort of snowball all the way into 2020, which was for me the height of when I graduated law school, wrote out a personal plan, and one of my plans for our culture, our community, was to cure apathy. Because we all saw the things that were going on. We saw Zimmerman be acquitted when I was coming out of law school for the murder of Trayvon Martin. But there was no urgency. There was an apathetic response for our community. In 2020, we let go of apathy. We saw the most protests, the most people out in the streets, a multicultural coalition of folks coming together to get something done. And then we kind of got complacent again. That's today. And so I'm encouraged by where we've been and what we're capable of. I know that together we are, in fact, powerful, my campaign slogan. Right? But sometimes we have to be pressed. And it was George Floyd, it was COVID, it was the Trump administration that was pressing up against us to say, it's fight or flight, and our community chose to fight. I'm looking forward to more pressure, because the cure for apathy seems to me to be pressure.
Well, I want to add one thing, because I do want to make an assumption. Black people are the most talented people in this country, in my opinion, and I have receipts. So I don't want to be exclusive in that statement. I'm just telling you all my truth, and I have an argument for it. We're in a space where we can use our talent to build our communities without having some type of cost associated. But it takes work. It takes us to work together. And family and unity is love is the place where we can all start, because the talent will take us there. Anyway.
And it made me think about something, listen to all you all speak. And it makes me almost think about like church, right? Where when conviction happens, change begins. Yes. And what we're missing is the conviction. Like, we want change, but that conviction, that thing that turns in your stomach, that make you say, this is it. Like, I'm not doing it anymore. And I think that one of the things that comes with conviction is when you're convicted in changing something, you don't care how ugly it looks for the change. And a lot of us are we too pretty. We want to make sure our hair is right and the right opportunity is right, the profession is right, we are doing the right things. But if we really talk about economic change, if you were to historically just even look at where most of us got any of our money, specifically African American culture, it was in trades. We're using our hands. We're doing the things that other cultures did not want to do. And the thing now is we want to run away from the very essence of the things that actually made us proficient financially, put us ahead economically, because we don't want to do those things anymore because it's not pretty. So if I really wanted economic change, I wanted to actually push a narrative forward, I got to roll up my sleeves, get stanky, ugly, and dirty, because that's actually what creates the change that we need in order to economically push the culture forward.
Or ashy. Throw ashy in there because you was
ashy. Because you was ashy.
Yeah, he
but
was.
that let me know
it's
changed.
It was changed.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, he was calling on me earlier. My ankles was ashy.
Now he wasn't even melanin. It was ghost white.
That was out the shower ash. You know when the water dries off and it sucks in?
Or too much dirt calculating. I don't know which one.
Come on, Kevin Durant.
I don't know why I opened myself up for that. I don't know. Listen, I love everything that y'all said thus far. Now let's go ahead and transition this conversation. We're the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. So now let's talk about the state of men in their homes, taking on women as our brides and curating a home of love and covering that woman and guiding her and all that beautiful stuff. What would you say about that? We hear in these social media streets that men don't benefit from marriage. Have y'all heard that? Have y'all heard that men don't benefit from marriage, that men lose in marriage? Who said that?
Men.
That's what I'm saying.
Men
Watch
say this.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Yeah.
The social media streets.
We gonna come back. We gonna come back with the real statistics.
I've heard it.
Yeah.
Unmarried men.
I'm married. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. The reality is that's what's the narrative
That's
out
the
there.
narrative.
There's a whole thing called the
Men
red
are
pill.
saying
Red pill,
that's what we're saying. No, this is our truth. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we're gonna
That's
talk
what we're
about
gonna talk about it. That's
what we're gonna talk about. So we're gonna hear it. There's a whole group of people called the red pill community. There's a whole group of people called the manosphere. And the ideology that is purported on social media is that men lose in marriage, men are the prize, all this stuff. And so what I want to say, oh my God, the reality.
We're ready, Funky Town. Let's go.
So here we go. So we want to talk about this. We want to talk about about 3 of y'all married and one of y'all single. So here we go. So the odds in y'all favor. So we got 3 people that made the wise decision to get married, and a couple of us, we still in process. And so so here we go. So the question is, do you believe that men benefit in marriage? How and why?
So
Come on, single man.
Yeah.
Come on, single man.
I will say this from the divorce community. First, I think in order to help frame it, because I can feel your eyes burning into me. But listen,
Yeah, we're all on the same
I want to
page.
frame it in the culture. In the culture that we live in, the culture that I exist in today, there's a term that's going around on social media called a high value man.
Facts.
Right.
I make my own money. I own my own property. I can provide, and et cetera, et cetera. And so now, the woman, the kind of woman that culturally we've been taught to accept is someone who makes arm candy to us, right? Not someone who adds value to our life.
Hold the microphone closer. I need this.
Not someone who can add value to our life, help us along our career path, as my wife did as a young attorney, or any of those other things. It's who looks good for social media, right? So if that's the toxic culture that we're talking about, then this conversation gets a little more testy. All right. Okay.
Great job.
Great job, attorney. Great job.
You know, the
Your opening
interesting thing
statement was
about
amazing.
that-
Your opening statement was amazing.
You on eggshells, brother. But keep
Believe
going.
me.
Start it off
interesting-
strong, brother. Pass the baton.
The interesting thing about that, Lee, is that we created that
We
toxic
created it.
environment.
Right.
We the one gave position for the arm candy. We the
Bingo.
one gave position for.
But
keep up.
I'll offer this spoiler alert, and I know you and I are talking about this. My ex-wife and I have started dating again.
All right.
So I'm learning now, number one, all the things that I'm recalling now, all the things that I benefit from, because we've known each other since we were 18. And so who I am as a father, what I value as a man, how I dress is based on what this woman told me works for me, right? And she must have been right, right? Because it's working out for the lifestyle that I want to lead. And now that we're raising these 5 children, all under 14, there's so much there's certain things that I can do. I'm a disciplinarian. I'm a coach. I'm a former school teacher. I took all the bad cases. Give me them. So the kids get in my presence and to shut up and do what I said and do it quickly, right? Because I know that's not gentle parenting, but I'm not a psychologist.
That's regimented parenting.
And you know what they need? They need their mom to balance that out. Right. And she has been trying to be me because I get the kind of response she needs in the household and that they need in the classroom. But my relationship with my kids became real testy because it's like, mom can't be in her room without them knocking on her door, right? Dad goes in this room, it's like, thank God. Yeah. Everybody be quiet. Like, don't let that man come back out. And so there's a balance. right. There's a balance that exists in marriage, obviously, that gives you the ability to run a household the way you want. Because I want to love on my kids and I want to play with my kids, but I'm afraid for them because of what I do for a living. And so they're going to get this discipline from me. And we need a household that gives them both. So.
For me, I would emphatically say yes. The brother does benefit when you marry the right one. When you marry someone that's not caught up in her own vanity, right, and she actually cares about what you all are building, then yes. But if it's these new dancing young ladies that's online,
ain't nothing wrong
Some of y'all in here right now.
But they do, Jay.
No, but I'm kidding. But it depends on who you're marrying and making sure that they fit where God has shown you as a man where you're going.
That part.
And submission happens when they see that you're submitting to God or something bigger than that. So I would say, as far as my relationship, I can't speak for nobody else. It has absolutely benefited me. If I go golf, I don't have to worry about my wife calling. She's gonna hold it down. If I'm traveling, she's gonna hold it down. And she's gonna talk a little shit.
Oh yeah, it's gonna.
She gonna talk some mess. But I'm
golf.
okay with the mess, and I got the audacity to be mad when I've been gone a week. but when you marry the right one, that matters. And then also having to understand that what we're saying up here, it's not your relationship. Right. You got to create your own playbook, your own rules, your own way that you operate within your relationship that benefits and works for you. And don't be telling everybody else y'all playbook. It's your playbook for your family. What up, Rob? Your playbook for your family that you have, and those are the things that actually benefit you.
Good.
So we hold our playbook to our chest.
Good. Go ahead.
Yes, because I want to answer the question. Men, I personally have enhanced. I actually talk. I communicate. I talk all the time. I didn't realize I didn't communicate. And being in a marriage breaks your former mold. And so if you and your partner are not willing to break your past mold, marriage is going to suck. Love is not going to. See, that's the devil.
Say it again. Love not going to work.
I ain't a preacher, but I got a way.
Come on.
You know? But in all seriousness, it's humbling because in order for men to thrive and to go to the next level, there has to be harmony in the family, there has to be a plan, and there have to be resources to execute. If we succumb or we subscribe to what society has been telling black men for generations, because historically, the reason why we're caught up in this is because we went out to the marketplace in the 19th century, in the 20th century, and we go into this Eurocentric mindset with a different family dynamic than we have, and we bring it back, and we have issues that our queens have an attitude. It's because they have brains. It's because they've been in a place of access that we are more of a team than a hierarchical type structure than in other family systems. Yeah. We don't roll like that. And so with our family clashing with capitalism, clashing with anti-blackness in our system, that hurts our relationships with one another. And building community, building our own systems allow us to repair that, so that we can combat that, and then we can broadcast that, so there's a new narrative in social media. Optimism. I'm all optimism.
I love it. Stay that way.
Well, you know I'm going back to the word, right?
Go ahead.
Your father said it's not good for man to be alone. Yeah. And I agree with that. I'm better with you, right? Better with my wife. Y'all say hello to my wife up here up front.
Shout out. Hey, wifey.
Now, here's the interesting thing that I want y'all to see. So now God has put this order together, right? And then he told you in the word that you will have a desire for your husband. So Dear Future Wifey has an impact because you internally, from a spiritual standpoint, desire a husband. Well, what is a husband? He is the representative of God in the natural. He provides for you, protects you, cultivates you, gets you ready for everything that you need. He is in what God is in the supernatural. He is him in the natural. Yeah. Now, what we've overstand is that you don't have a desire for a husband, right? The one that's not doing all the things that God has ordained him to do. Well, we forget the narrative. Let no man bring asunder what God has brought together, which poses the question, did God really bring him or did you? Right? So you have to take, Pastor, I don't want no husband. I don't want no husband. Yes, you do. The word says you have a desire for him. Unless you're telling me all the Bible wrong, the word says you have a desire for a husband. Now, what is the definition of a husband? And then that's put back on you. Define it. Adam was God in his image and his likeness. Right? His issue was he didn't take accountability to operate as God in his image and his likeness. When you look at a man, what you do, he chooses you, you confirm him. Right? You're confirming. Does he cultivate me? Does he protect me? Is he giving me vision? Is he communicating and not just talking? You confirm him and you set your standards to a place where he is, and you know beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's God's man right there. And then that's what you want. And then in comparison, for us, we want a partner. We don't want no project. I don't want to have to come in here and get your credit ready. Get your credit ready. Don't be talking about you want a high value man over here with a 530. Don't do that for me. So when we out here trying to build these homes and get all this extra credit, and I got to put you on my loan, and I'm like, damn, baby, come on, right? What we doing? Be prepared for it. Let me ask you this real quick question, because I got to do this and deal with this all the time, right? We have more training on how to drive on the streets than you know how to be married. Ain't nobody put you in no class to be a wife or put me in a class to be a husband. What does that entail? So what that means is that I got to go and prepare myself. What about conflict resolution? How about fighting fair? What, all about all that other stuff and being able to unpack what love is. Do you understand what God defined what love is? It ain't got nothing to do with an emotion. It has everything to do with discipline. Love is patient. Love is kind. You walk down those 16 components of what love is, not this monolithic, I feel good and make me feel good. It is 16 disciplines, right? That you ain't gonna keep no record of wrong. So stop telling me what I did 20 years ago, right? That's gone. Like God has forgiven you. Your prayer is this: God, forgive me of my trespasses as I forgive them of their trespasses. In sync. But you keep bringing up what I failed to do. You ain't even moving in love, right? But you want to be loved, right? Love is a discipline. It is a decision. Get out of the space where you think it is all about feeling warm and cozy. It takes work. It takes a mentality. You need a skill set to stay in relationship.
That's real. Amen. That's real. Listen, man, give it up for this amazing panel, y'all. Give it up. Listen, hope y'all found a lot of value in this episode. I do want to give a shout out to a movie that I partner with, Angel Studios. I became a brand ambassador for Angel Studios' newest film called Sound of Hope. It's a film about adoption, right in Possum Trot. Y'all know where Possum Trot, Texas is? Have you ever heard of Possum Trot? Me neither. But Possum Trot is a couple of hours away from Fort Worth. And it's a story of this church, this small church that decided to eradicate kids in foster care and up for adoption in their respective town about 20 years ago. And they decided to adopt 77 kids through their church. So 22 families adopted 77 kids. And it's a beautiful movie called The Sound of Hope, the Possum Trot story. They're doing a limited premiere of it on Juneteenth. If you go to angel.com/KR, put that in. KR, so I'm building a foster home for foster boys called Kingdom Royale. And so I'll partner with them that they'll donate a percentage of ticket sales for my organization. And so make sure y'all check that film out. It's gonna also come back out on 4th of July.
Go to angel.com/KR. Again, that's angel.com/KR.
Hey, thank y'all so much for supporting us and the love that you show on the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Thank you, Opal Lee, for having us, and let's keep on celebrating Juneteenth. Thank y'all.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey Podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.